all this thing that you personally have experienced yourself, right? Like moving out of, coming out from England to going to India, and that kind of traveling was one of the reasons why you got to, you got the exposure to see what is happening in the world, right? So what do
Mm.
you think people should do when they think they are in the materialistic idea, or they're not sure as to what to do in life, they are not sure about anything in life? Do you think traveling is something that they should do to get more exposure and understand themselves?
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that the present COVID emergency has shown us is that a lot of traveling is not as necessary as people thought. And um, personally, I mean, I've done a lot of traveling, but I'm actually very happy not to be traveling, and I'm planning to do very little from now on, partly because the carbon emissions from aeroplanes are so high. I think we should all be traveling less by air.
Hmm.
Um, um, what I mean, for me, coming to India was a vital experience, and um, um, I think it's not necessary for everybody to travel. I mean, I don't think tourism does much good. Um, I think tourism could be transformed. Tourism is a kind of secularized pilgrimage. The English invented tourism after pilgrimage had been banned. And I think the best paradigm shift really would be to shift back from tourism to pilgrimage, and to
Hmm.
go, if we travel, go to sacred places. I mean, in India, this is how most people travel, or used to travel anyway. They didn't go on holidays, they went on pilgrimages, and pilgrimages are a kind of holiday. Um, so I think recovering this pilgrimage dimension would make travel much more meaningful for a lot of people, and mean they'd have to do frenetically rushing around the world to tourist hotspots. It seems to me just eco-hostile and undesirable. And it doesn't mean people learn much about the culture. Um, I mean,
Correct.
I was very lucky to be able to live in India, to work in India, to live in a house with an Indian family, to work with Indian colleagues, to live in an Indian ashram. Because it was a Christian ashram, paradoxically, it was more Indian than the Hindu ashrams, which are full of spiritual tourists from Europe and America. Um, very few actually went to the Christian ashram. It was mostly Indian Christians from Kerala and Tamil Nadu.
Hmm.
Um, so I was very lucky to be able to be immersed in Indian culture by living and working there. A mere touristic visit, I don't think would have done anything like that for me.
Hmm.
Um, so I think if people are going to travel, go on a pilgrimage, and if people come to England from India, for example, then when in London, visit Westminster Abbey, St Paul's Cathedral, go to the principal sacred places, not just as a tourist, but light a candle, say a prayer. Uh,
Hmm.
so I make a point whenever I visit a new city or town, I try to go to the central sacred place as soon as I can and make an offering and connect with that place. I mean, in India, I go to temples and do a puja, and in Muslim countries, I go to mosques or and say a prayer, or to dargahs. Um, in Christian countries, I go to cathedrals or the main church. And that way we connect with the place, the sacred center of the place where people have worshipped and been inspired over the centuries. And I always ask for blessings on my visit there, blessings on the place and those who live there. And I feel that if we're going to travel, turning our journeys into pilgrimages and giving them a spiritual purpose makes them much more meaningful.
Perfect. Awesome. Because I personally relate to that experience, because I remember one of the greatest awakenings I had was when I traveled for a month, traveling from, because I had no clue what to do in life. I was not sure. I was kind of an agnostic, turning into an atheist. But then I started going to, different places, these pilgrimages, as you just said, dargahs and then temples. And that is when I truly discovered myself, I feel. And I'm great at the place I am today, and grateful for all those instances, because rather than just traveling, I turned it into a pilgrimage. Now, when you just said that, it just hit me. Right. So that's a great advice that I would recommend all my listeners as well to give it a shot.